Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stanton.
Welcome.
Move on to item number 3, recognition of the audience. This is the time if someone has an issue or matter they'd like to bring before the village board or the village staff for an item that is not on the agenda. Now's the time to come forward. Going once, going twice, 3 times, and move on. Chair would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the April 17th, 2017 meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
So motion is second. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Move on to 5, consent agenda. Chair would accept a motion.
So
I'll
moved.
second.
This is a motion and a second to approve. This will be a roll call vote. The items are 5A, approval of the agenda. B, approval of the schedule of bills for May 1, 2017 totaling $1,680,585.32. C, request board approval of an ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of potable water supply wells or many other methods. D, request board approval of locations for the 2017 Drainage Improvement Project. E, request board authorization to award contract for 2017 Sidewalk Raising Mudjacking Program to Raise Right, Carroll Stream, Illinois, low bid at a unit price of $1.97 per square foot for sidewalk in an amount not to exceed $30,000. F, request board authorization to 1, waive formal bidding, and 2, purchase replacement backhoe loader for unit number 56 through Westside Tractor, Wakanda, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $148,206.62. G, request board authorization to seek bids for electricity, select a supplier based on the recognition of Satori Energy, and allow the village manager to enter into a contract with a third-party supplier for the Sears Center Arena. H, request board authorization to 1, waive formal bidding, 2, award contracts with CDW Government Desktop Computer Statewide Master Contract, number CMS 7011124B for the purchase of 60 desktop computers in an amount not to exceed $41,378.40. I, request board authorization to award beverage contract for the 2017 Northwest Fourth Fest to Lakeshore Beverage, Arlington Heights, Illinois. J, request board authorization to 1, waive formal bidding, and 2, purchase 8 Ford Explorer utility vehicles for Morrow Brothers Ford, Greenfield, Illinois, low bidder, in an amount not to exceed $231,160. K, request board approval to enter into a 2-year radio communication system equipment maintenance contract with Chicago Communications, LLC, Elmhurst, Illinois, sole bidder, in an amount not to exceed $752.30 per month. There is a motion, a second. Any questions on any of these items? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. We have some proclamations, I understand. Move to President's report. What do we have, Madam Mayor? Madam Clerk, rather.
Okay, I have the first one.
You wouldn't take the motion, would you? No.
Okay. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in assuring provision of services directed toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community, and whereas the Public Works Department has upon its roster an individual who should be commended for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community. And whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks make a profile of this dedicated employee. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 20 years of dedication and proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by the virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Friday, May 12, 2017, as James Peterson Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. We appreciate the great job that Jim has done for us for 20 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Mr. Nebel, will you accept this for Jim and give him our thanks? Good job keeping the snow away. It got pretty cold.
Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates includes older Americans who richly contribute to our community, and whereas we acknowledge that what it means to age has changed for the better. Whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates is committed to supporting older adults as they take charge of their health, explore new opportunities and activities, and focus on independence. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by involving older adults in the redefinition of aging in our community, promoting home and community-based services that support independent living, encouraging older adults to speak up for themselves and providing opportunities for older adults to share their experiences. And whereas staying socially active and involved in the community decreases mental health risks for senior citizens, and whereas public awareness, education, advocacy, and prevention measures can help to lessen the occurrence of the loneliness in senior citizens in our society. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Older Americans Month in the Village of Hoffman Estates and urge all Hoffman Estates citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, schools, and public and private institutions in the village to take time during this month to acknowledge older adults and the people who serve them as influential and vital parts of our community.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Dr. Savidra, will you accept this? Appreciate the great job your department does. Thank you. Don't go too far.
Yeah, I have the next one. When they passed these out, did they know that my father was a psychiatrist at all, or? Yeah.
No.
The only one I paid attention to was giving the young one the older American.
Thank you.
Well, you picked right, though. on this.
You did
His
pick
dad
right.
was yes.
Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Mental Health Awareness Month was developed to increase public awareness of mental health issues, to provide prevention education, and to empower individuals struggling with a mental disorder to get the help they need. And whereas 1 in 2 Americans has a diagnosable mental disorder each year, including 44 million adults and 13.7 million children, and whereas ethnic minorities are more likely to experience a mental disorder than their white counterparts, but less likely to seek treatment, and whereas mental disorders are as disabling as cancer or heart disease in terms of premature death and lost productivity, and whereas 80 to 90% of mental disorders are treatable using medication and other therapies, and fewer than half of adults get help, and only 1/3 of children get help. And whereas the overall quality of life improves tremendously when a mental disorder is diagnosed early and treated appropriately, be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of the Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaims May 2017 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urges all Hoffman Estates citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, schools, and public and private institutions on the village to promote, should be in the village, to promote awareness of mental health issues, to support programs and policies that reduce the incidence of mental disorders, and to provide opportunities for all to participate in the awareness and prevention of mental disorders.
Accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. We need more people like Trustee Stanton's dad. These are quite unbelievable statistics when you look at it. We appreciate the professionals who work in this field. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Dr. Savidra. Thank you. Well, who has the next one?
I have the next
You
one.
do? Okay.
Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality, and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk, be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaims May 7th through May 13th, 2017 as Municipal Clerks Week in the village of Hoffman Estates, and urges all residents and businesses to join us in extending appreciation and gratitude to our village clerk, Bev Romanoff.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second, be it therefore resolved that I, William D. McLeod, say we have the best municipal clerk in the world. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Get in here, come on. Move on down, guys.
Thought I was going to get away with it this time.
A whole week, huh, Bev?
Yeah.
Wow,
looking for
God
lunches.
help us.
It's gonna be a long week.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
All levity aside, we really do appreciate the great job that Bev Romanoff does as our clerk. She's outstanding. Who has the next?
I have the
proclamation?
next one. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates, economical growth, diversification, productivity, public safety are all in the same way related to access safe water. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend, and whereas each citizen of our community is called upon to help protect their source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim May 7th through May 13th, 2017 as National Drinking Water Week in the village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all Hoffman Estates residents and businesses to join in its observance.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second, water is crucial to life, and we can sometimes take it for granted, the quality of our water in this area. And I can tell you, being active in Illinois Municipal League, drinking water is a major concern in most of the state. We're very fortunate living here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried. Mr. Nebel, do a great job running our water department. Thank you. Well, we got a couple things here. First off, I really want to congratulate Eric Saubert and his parents, Kimberly and Michael Saubert of Hoffman Estates, who are very active in the Scottish movement, good scouters. Eric was the Atlanta Falcons. He was picked by the Atlanta Falcons in the draft. He's now a member of the Falcons, a tight end for the Atlanta Falcons of the National Football League. Live right down the road on Hassel Road. So congratulations to Eric. Now his parents are going to have to root for the Falcons, but hey, what are you going to do? Kids playing, you got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
I am received a Facebook post from a resident saying, I really got to say thank you to Station 23 and all their stations. I am grateful the guys came over here and rescued me I was in so much pain I couldn't even move, and they took me out of here the hardest way you could possibly leave my house. The lower level, sliding glass door, and muddy as heck. I wanted to walk up to the main level. They wouldn't let me, and they carried me out safely with total compassion. My God, what a blessing our fire department is. I just wanted to say thank you, and God bless all the Hoffman Estates Fire Department. It's from one of our citizens, very heartfelt, and I think we all echo that opinion. I do have a couple of appointments to make this evening. Labrika Schaefer for the Youth Commission. We interviewed her last week or 2 weeks ago.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Lauren Pershan for the Commission for Disabled Citizens.
So moved.
Did we do them last meeting?
We could do them again.
We can do them again
I'll
to make
second.
sure. Is a motion a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right, but at least
In case we changed our mind.
they're done, yeah, okay. I want to congratulate everyone who's still back here, Trustee Gata and Clerk Romanoff and Trustee Karen Mills and Trustee Karen Arnett on being here tonight. Congratulations on your swearing in, and we're looking forward to serving with you for the next 4 years. I'd like to ask for a special board meeting on May 8th, 2017, before the committee meetings, for the purpose of organizing the board, the committees, and making all the appointments to all the boards and commissions.
Want a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. We did have some events again this weekend. We had the MacArthur International Spanish Academy Science Fair, and go to a grammar school and listen to kids explain to you about science, and you realize that you got out of school a long time ago. I want to thank Trustee Stanton for going down with me to Springfield lobbying and
Welcome.
Wednesday. I appreciate that. He's always willing to do it. They did have the opportunity to get back in time to stop by Wine Wednesday at Moretti's. It was a really good event. Thursday, the 27th, there was the Transportation Committee meeting of the Northwest Municipal Conference. And the Bon Appetit Festival at Stonegate was very well attended, and it was quite an event. And I think everyone who attended had a great time. Arbor Day on the 28th, we had a lot of people out of Whiteley School. Once again, Frank Whiteley School partnered with the village to plant a tree. They've been doing it for 27 years, I believe. And we had our autism support photo taken here today, on Friday at the Village Hall in the atrium. And Saturday, we had the Celtic Fest. Again, was a very well-attended event. Being indoors is good when the weather is really not good. And yesterday, we had the swearing in for the mayor and the trustees and the village clerk. And I want to thank everybody who showed up, and it was a truly, truly great event. Now we'll move on to B, trustee comments. We'll start with Trustee Arnett.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate everyone's support, and happy to be here and happy to work with the board and all the people in the village.
We're very happy to have you with us, and you will be going to as many events as everybody else. Trust
I'm
me.
ready.
Good, I know you are. You've done that in the past. Trustee Stanton.
Thank you. I want to congratulate you, Mayor, and Michael and the two Karens for their election. Bev also for her election as clerk again. And there was a wonderful swearing-in ceremony yesterday that I was also able to attend with all of you. And there was certainly a huge spread out there after everybody was sworn in. And I guess everybody had a wonderful time because it sure looked like everybody was having a wonderful time. Okay. On the 22nd of April, I was able to attend Haverford's Arbor Fest before going to my grandson's 11th birthday celebration. And on the 24th, I was able to be here for the Citizens Police Academy graduation. I want to congratulate all those that did graduate from the academy. And as the mayor mentioned, on the 26th, I did go down with him to Springfield, and we were accompanied by our corporate counsel here, the Honorable Arthur Janura. And then on the 27th, I was able to attend with my wife the Bon Appetit Food and Drink Festival, and I learned that that was the most vendors that we've ever had there, and as well as the largest crowd that we've ever had there. So, two great things. As well as the food. That was a lot to eat. I did attend the Arbor Fest. If I didn't, I already mentioned that at Haverford, and but I also Arbor Day ceremonies on last Friday. And the Celtic Fest, I was unable to attend because my granddaughter Emma had a communion celebration that day, and it did last that whole day long. And last but not least, I want to wish a happy birthday to Karen Arnett. I know it's coming up this week.
Thank you.
But we'll do it today.
Trustee Mills.
Well, also, I'd like to thank everyone for their support and everything that went on yesterday with our swearing-in ceremony. It was really a great event. My family truly enjoyed it, and they had fun. Congratulations. Be happy to be working with you for another 4 years, Bill, and with Mike, and welcoming Karen, who I'm very happy to have up here with me and with us. Over the last 2 weeks, on the 18th, several of us attended a memorial service for a longtime resident, Robbie Dillon, who is going to be a great loss to our community. The 22nd was Haverford Arbor Fest, and that community, Michael, you really do a great job in everything you do out at Haverford, and it was a great morning to be out there to see your greenery and flowers already blooming. On the 24th, we welcomed a new class, graduates of the Citizens Police Academy here at Village Hall. On the 26th was Wine Wednesday at Moretti's. Got a chance to stop there before I had a Northwest Mosquito Abatement meeting. On the 27th, also attended Bon Appetit at Stonegate. Great crowd, great food, great job by everybody on our Sister Cities Committee for helping the chamber with that one. 28th was Arbor Day with the Frank Whiteley School, where we planted 3 trees in our Arbor Park, before coming back here for the autism picture with everyone dressed in blue. 28th, Celtic Fest. Mayor, thank you and your committee for a great job, and Joni for a wonderful day. And yesterday was the swearing in, which was beyond belief again. And with congratulations go out to Eric Sauberg, I believe his last name. Only problem was Channel 9 News last night identified him from St. Rita's High School. And he went to Hoffman Estates High School. So just want to get that out there, that he's one of our own.
Yes, he is.
And happy birthday this week to Karen Arnett.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Trustee
That's it.
Palafis.
I will start where Trustee Mills left off. Happy birthday, Karen. If you have a party this week, I'm in town. Make sure you drop an invite.
I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay,
I'll be there Saturday
that's right. That's right, thank you. And then
to the door.
I also attended Arbor Day at Arbor Park, which was a great time, seeing all the kids from Whiteley and just how excited they are to be a part of the tree planting ceremony. And then last but not least, congratulations, Mayor and Bev and Michael and Karen and Karen and our other Karen on your win. The swearing in was fun yesterday. I think most of the people that voted for all of you were here. It was a very full room. And especially Karen Mills, you were called out specifically, and you almost beat them 2-1. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And they come after you. So that's all for me, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Newell.
Okay, it may sound like a little bit of a repeat, have been some places that everyone else has, but on the 18th, did attend the memorial for Robbie Dillon, who was a great resident, great person here. She was just really loved by a lot of people. On the 22nd, did the Arbor Fest at Haverford. Unbelievable how all the volunteers clear that and keep it looking so nice with the path and everything else. On the 24th, the Police Academy graduation. The 27th, of course, Bon Appetit. Really, really well attended. Some great food there, great vendors. On the 29th, the Celtic Fest, which is really a great family event. Congrats to everyone who put it together. On the 30th, of course, we had the swearing in for everyone. So congrats to all the re-elected. Welcome. And then, of course, happy birthday, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Newell. Trustee Yeda, do you have anything you want to say?
Oh, yes, you know I always do, all right. First of all, happy birthday, Karen, all right? And to thank you all for the participation for all of us when we were running and walking with us. We couldn't have done it without you. And here we go. On Tuesday, the 18th, attended the April luncheon for senior citizens here at Village Hall. There was like over 100 people that we served that day. And the Commission for Senior Citizens, they always do an outstanding job, and they did that also. Also on the 18th, attended a village ad hoc committee here at Village Hall. Then on Friday, the 21st, attended the naturalization oath ceremony at the Schaumburg Library. This year, there were 72 applicants and 20 from 24 countries. The last year when I had gone, it was like 69 new citizens, but like 50-some countries. I was surprised that this was only 24 countries. But anyways, then on Saturday the 22nd, as you all were saying, they attended the 7th Haverford Place Arbor Fest for planting of the new trees with Mayor McLeod and all of the trustees that were here. Then also on Saturday the 22nd, went to the Monet presentation here at the hall. Sister Cities Commission had put that on, and that was really excellent. And I wanted to stay for the whole thing, but we couldn't because we had another function that we had to go to. And that other function on the 22nd was the Eagle Court of Honor for Patrick Dunn, and that was held at the Holy Family Church on Palatine. Then on Sunday, we also had another Eagle Court of Honor for Jack Purcell, and that was held at the Onion Pub in Barrington. Then on Friday the 28th, the Arbor Day celebration at the, Whiteley School students, and I think they were like from the fourth grade, Bill? Third grade on that. And so we were all helping them plant trees. I asked how many trees they planted so far in the 27 years. There's 97 trees that is out there right now. And let's see, I got two more things. Oh yeah, on Saturday the 29th, Celtic Fest at the Sears Center. There's no question about the attendance. And yesterday was the swearing in ceremony for all the newly elected. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
If I forgot
Yes.
one thing
Yes.
about the Arbor Day, there were a lot of children there who were not going to wash their hands that night because you had shaken their hand. They were really excited about having their hands shook by the mayor.
I'm sure their parents had something to say about
It
that.
was cute.
Yes.
They were all saying that to each other.
Funny, yeah. I told them I was going to wash my hands because they shook your hands, so we're even. Move on to 6C, Village Manager's Report.
Just congratulations those who were sworn in, not sworn at yesterday.
Happening later in the meeting.
It usually does. Sometime during your 4-year term. We're looking forward to working with you, and happy birthday to Karen Arnett.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it.
you. 6D, Village Clerk's Report.
First, thank you for everyone who voted for us. It's a pleasure to be working with all you guys again, and what everybody's waiting for. 166 FOIAs and 68 passports during the month of April. That's it.
Thank you. Move on to committee reports, Transportation Road Improvements, Trustee Stanton.
Thank you. Next Monday, on May 8th, 2017, we'll be meeting here in the boardroom, and we'll have a roll call, approval of the minutes of April 17th, 2017, after we have established a quorum. Then we have 3 items in new business, although 2 of them are tentative. First is a request approval of a letter of understanding with Cook County for the Central Road Bicycle Path Phase 1 engineering. 2 is a request approval of a license agreement with Canadian National for the I-90 undercrossing trail. Both of those 2 items were the tentative ones. And 3 is request acceptance of the Transportation Division monthly report. There will be a president's report after that. We will have nothing in other items in review, at least not at this point. And then we will adjourn.
Thank you. Planning, Building, and Zoning, Trustee Mills.
Planning, Building, and Zoning will be also meeting on May 8th. It's going to be a little quieter meeting. Under new business that night, we have request approval to adopt the 2015 International Codes and Amendments in Chapter 11, Building Requirements of the Hoffman Estates Municipal Code, followed by acceptance of the various Department of Development Services monthly report for Planning Division, Code Enforcement Division, and Economic Development and Tourism. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Stan, can you do the GAP General Administration Personnel?
Thank you, I will do that. We will have a roll call after Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee. Again, establish a quorum, then move to the approval of the minutes of April 17th, 2017. Under new business, there are 5 items. First is discussion regarding the legislative update. 2, discussion regarding opting out of Cook County's minimum hourly wages and paid sick leave ordinance. 3, a request acceptance of cable TV monthly report. 4, request acceptance of the Human Resources Management monthly report. 5, request acceptance of the Legislative Operations and Outreach monthly report, March and April reports. And the president still wants to talk. He has that opportunity. And after that, there'll be nothing in other or items in review, and there will be adjournment.
Thank you, Trustee Stan. Move on to 7, Planning and Zoning Commission Report. Chairperson Combs, how are you? Good. That's nice, yeah. Very nice. Unusual for you.
I know.
What do you got for us?
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by 5A7 LLC on behalf of Golden Goose Enterprises LLC for text amendments to Chapter 9 zoning code to amend Section 9-1-2 and to add Section 9-5-13 to create a new TN traditional neighborhood district based upon the new text found in the application package. 8 ayes, 2 nays, 1 absent.
Okay, and this item was deferred on April 17th and came back tonight. Chair to accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
The motion is second. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, any questions from the audience? Seeing no questions, can you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request of 5A7 LLC on behalf of Rubina Realty Corporation and Plum Farms OSR 72 LLC for approval of a text amendment to Section 9-8-3 regarding development requirements of the C-MU Commercial Mixed Use District based upon the revised text found in the application package. 8 ayes, 2 nays, 1 absent.
Chair to accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Again, this item was deferred on April 17th. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by 5A7 LLC applicant on behalf of Golden Goose Enterprises LLC owners for rezoning upon annexation of approximately 145 acres located on the west side of Illinois Route 59 and the east and west sides of Old Sutton Road, approximately 600 feet north of Higgins Road, Illinois Route 72, to a proposed new traditional neighborhood TN district with 3 conditions. Vote was 8 ayes, 2 nays, 1 absent.
Chair to accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
The motion is second. Again, this was deferred from the April 17th meeting. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am. Come on up and identify yourself for the record. Madam Mayor.
Yes, Paula McCombie, Mayor of South Barrington, 30 South Barrington Road in South Barrington. I'm not trying to be an obstructionist. I wouldn't want to do this. I know that you're all excited about your possible new development there, but I just would like to have my question, I guess, would be, do you think that your zoning in that is going to be restrictive enough for the developer so that you don't wind up into lawsuits if you try to change something in that development? I'm very concerned for South Barrington when the developer comes up, or developer's representative back there comes up and says, we have 58 feet, but South Barrington has 35 across the street, when he knows that we're almost totally built out there with over 100 homes that are at 18 to 20 feet, and he's using a 35-foot zoning, which is not going to occur. That type of statement makes me very concerned that when you get down to brass tacks, that he may be bringing you to court in order to get what he wants. So I just want, my question is, do you feel that you're still going to have control over the zoning, and you're going to be able to do for South Barrington what you would what you would want us to do if we were going to take our landfill and build something next to your Hoffman Estates homes that might take away from their value. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Can you identify yourself, name and address for the record?
My name is David Steeper. I live at 10304 Brayburn Road, Barrington Hills, Illinois. I'm also a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Village of Barrington Hills. I'm a 25-year licensed attorney. I concentrate my practice in real estate, construction, litigation, including zoning, land use, and land development. My law practice is located in Hoffman Estates. I've been there for the past 12 years. So if this annexation and development is approved, I might be getting it on both ends here with regard to the adverse impact on District 220, as well as the tax subsidy that's proposed for this developer with regard to taxation on my business. Last meeting, and I've been sort of late to the game here, I was asked by Village President Martin McLaughlin to attend the meeting. And since then, I've been reviewing the documentation relating to this project made available to the public. So during the short period of time I've had to look at it, hopefully I have my facts correct, and if I don't, I apologize for that. But during my review of the proposed annexation agreement and the accompanying documents, I could not help to think about the TV series Shark Tank. You know, the TV series where a aspiring entrepreneur comes before the sharks asking for money to support his or her business idea. The entrepreneur here is the developer, and then you are the sharks. But you're not playing with your own money, you're playing with taxpayer money. And the development or the entrepreneur here has proposed, I believe it's a 187-acre, 145-acre development. The developer's law firm, Burke Warren, is the same law firm who unsuccessfully represented the Village of Barrington Hills in defense of the very developer's disconnection lawsuit of the same property into Hoffman Estates in order to prevent this type of proposed dense development, which is now Burke Warren is promoting through their client. The proposed housing project consists between 850 and 1,250 living units, but there's no information with regard to the following: the number of residential units to be allocated between apartment and residential. There's no price range for the homes and apartments. This, of course, will impact the amount of taxation to be generated from this property and certainly the impact on District 220. There's no requirement that any of the lots or homes be pre-sold. There's no studies done concerning the actual buyer demand for these yet to be defined residential structures. There's no design by the Metropolitan Water District for any sewer north of Route 72. There's no plan submitted in advance to IDOT, MWD, or Cook County Stormwater Development. There's no impact or feasibility study done by District 220 or 330 because it's uncertain what is actually going to be developed on this property. In the Village of Barrington Hills, there's a record number of homes that are on the market for sale. And mostly this is attributable to the increase in real estate taxes. People simply can't afford it anymore. There's no police or fire department contract or feasibility study for this development. There's no land use feasibility study done or financial feasibility study done. In essence, I think we all can concede or acknowledge that by and large, Illinois state government has killed at least short-term prospects for growth in this state. We have negative population growth. People are leaving Illinois. So I ask, where are these buyers going to come from for this development? There has been no determination as to whether this project is economically viable. Yet if approved, the Village of Hoffman Estates is willing to waive all sanitary sewer and water connection, production, and tap-on fees for this development, waive all impact fees, including road. So other than excavation fees, Hoffman Estates will have to advance taxpayer funds for the setup costs for this development, sewer, water, roads, without any certainty that a single living unit will be built or sold. This is the type of agreement you may have found back between the years 2001 and 2008, before the real estate bust of 2009. But now, where homes, they're losing equity. There are plenty of examples around us where roads have been constructed, sewer and water furnished by the developer in approved subdivision, where for years no homes or only a few have been built. Take a look at Ridge Road in Barrington Hills, or the development on Kelsey Road and Miller Road north of Barrington. At least the taxpayer did not have to advance the upfront funds for the setup for these developments. Committing taxpayer resources to a development you have no idea is economically viable is speculative at best and not a wise municipal practice. Obviously, the developer must have reservations about this project, otherwise it would not need to negotiate a taxpayer subsidies. Where else has Hoffman Estates done this? And what does it say to all other developers who had to upfront these fees and assume entire risk of their project? If Hoffman Estates is hell-bent on providing a subsidy with taxpayer dollars, why not do it on the back end of this project? That is to say, reimburse this developer on the success of the project when units are built or sold and tax revenues are generated, rather than on a hope and a prayer in these challenging economic times. You are stewards of the taxpayer money, not speculators tying into the fortunes of a single developer. I ask you this, what would the sharks do under this scenario? I ask you, would you advance your own money instead of the taxpayers' money based upon what you have been furnished by the developer at this time? I'm not voicing an opinion as to whether this project will be successful or not. What I'm saying is, at this time, the board should render it basically vague at this time and require the kind of items that I've identified above to create more certainty in this project and consider rewarding the developer on the back end rather than on the front end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. If anyone else wants to speak, we want to limit it to 3 minutes, so everybody wants to talk gets to talk, so we'll have the clock ticking here.
We're used to clocks. Good evening, Brian Battle from Barrington 220.
And Susan Harkin, Chief Operating Officer, School District 300.
We just wanted to comment on just a couple of final points in the agreements that you're looking at this evening. We do appreciate the minimum lot size for schools. It's spec'd out at 5.5 acres. We do have some concerns based on some of the proposed density that would not be sufficient. Hoffman Estates' own ordinance for the kind of student yield that the developer is projecting would indicate, a lot size of about twice that. But we also recognize that that's something that you guys have promised us would be taken care of when a final design is brought forward. We still remain very concerned about the density of students that would come from the development and the impact on the taxpayers of both 220 and 300. But again, we hope that we can try to influence that in the final plan. So I guess our final ask this evening is if you are going to vote approval with the agreement that has the student density and has the school site restrictions as you have in there, that we would just ask that the village and the developer involve both 220 and 300 early in their design process so that we can try to have some influence on these issues so that the final plan can be accepted by all.
And I just concur with the fact that getting us in the conversation earlier rather than later will hopefully alleviate us being in a position that makes us have to stand in front of you tonight. And the sooner that we can sit down and have conversations to work through some of those things is where we would prefer to do our business and work those items out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. 3 minutes again. I'll give everybody a chance to talk if they want to.
My name is Mike Tennis. I'm a District 300 taxpayer living at 303 Churchill Court, Sleepy Hollow. The proposed Plum Farms annexation agreement in its present form raises many concerns for your residents, neighboring communities, and school districts. What concerns us, first, let me share two concerns regarding the village manager's April 28th memo to the board regarding the annexation. The special PB and Z committee meeting voted to require mutual agreement between owner and village, not the school districts, regarding school site and impact fees. It is taxation without representation. A minimum site is defined as 5.5 acres based on 2 new schools in the village. D220 elementary schools are on 9-acre parcels or larger. D300 sites average over 10 acres. School district taxpayers will pay. The village's benchmark is inappropriate. The minimum benchmark should be at least 9 acres. Second, here are 4 annexation concerns in Section 11B2, School Dedications and Fees. Paragraph A, school construction references concerning, quote, any demographic study submitted by owner, unquote. The owner's demographic study assumed millennials and empty nesters, lowballing student population at 575. Owner's demographics are questionable. Living units increased from 1,035 to 1,250. Reference to the owner's demographics should be deleted from the agreement. Paragraph B, land donation, refers to a school site as a location for a school building, related facilities, and public recreation uses. What about parking for faculty, administration, and visitors? How can specified and unspecified location needs be accommodated on 5.5 acres? Is the faculty going to be required to carpool or take public transportation? Paragraph C, fees in lieu of land donation, recognizes the land donation may be insufficient in size, but is silent if one school district agrees and one doesn't. The developer estimates 70% of the living units would probably fall within D300 boundaries. In such event, D300's position should prevail. Land value and school site are stated at $108,900 per acre and 5.5 acres, making fees in lieu of land only $600,000. The projected estimated EAV is $200 million. Assuming a land building EAV split of 25-75, the land would be worth $50 million or $270,300 per acre. At a minimum, a cash donation should exceed $1.5 million. Until major concerns are resolved, board action on the Plum Farm annexation ordinance should be deferred. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Anyone else? Seeing none, we do have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk? Can you call the roll?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills? Aye. Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of request by 5A7 LLC applicant on behalf of Golden Goose Enterprises LLC, Plum Farms OSR 72, and Rubina Realty Corporation owners for a preliminary and final plat of subdivision for the 186.348 acres final plat of Plum Farm subdivision located at the northwest corner of Higgins Road, Illinois Route 72, and Sutton Road, Illinois Route 59, with 5 conditions. Vote was 10 ayes, 1 absent.
Chair to accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Again, this was deferred from the April 17th meeting. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye. Motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by Sunstar Hoffman, Inc., owner, to consider a master sign plan under Section 9-3-8-M-13 of the zoning code on the red roof in property located at 2500 Hassel Road, 7 ayes, 4 absent.
Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion a second. Any questions from the board? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Seeing none,
I
can
do
you-
have one question.
Yeah, go on, Trustee
What is a
Stanton.
red roof plus one or plus, I mean, is that their new labeling, or is this a special?
It's a special category where they have other amenities.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Anything else? Can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission did not recommend for approval a request by WPT Prairie Stone, the 7th owner of Pine Tree Commercial applicant, to consider a preliminary and final site plan for a Denny's restaurant to be located at 4690 Hoffman Boulevard in the Poplar Prairie Stone Crossing Shopping Center with 7 conditions, 3 ayes, 4 nays, 4 absent.
Okay, this is one of those votes where to sustain the finding of the Planning and Zoning Commission, you would vote yes. If you want the item to be built, you would vote no and then make another motion later on to approve. But the prevailing vote was a denial, so Chair would accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion up here? That's Trustee Gata.
Yeah, this is for staff. Was there any reason that Denny's did not come up for a courtesy review for us way before even starting this stuff?
I guess because the shopping center from day one when it was built was always anticipated to have another building in this location, although nobody knew what it would be at the time. They did not opt to do that. Courtesy reviews are typically optional because there's no formal vote taken at that time. They felt that they would just be able to formally address everything through the hearing process, so that there was no interest on their part to come in for a pre-discussion. I guess from their perspective, they felt that this could fit comfortably, and they didn't really recognize that there would be issues at that time.
Because according to what I've been reading and so forth, there is an issue, and that issue is parking.
Right, and I understand that that was the issue that really got flushed out through the hearing process. I just think up front there was not a recognition of that. Without the analysis having been done, going through the full hearing process, it hadn't really flushed out that discussion point.
And I think, is that one of the reasons why the planning and the zoning turned it down, 4 against 3?
Yes, I think that was the key reason for that.
Okay, thank you, staff.
Anything else from the board? Trustee Stanton.
Regarding parking, we have another Denny's in the Hoffman Plaza. How many parking spaces are next to that restaurant?
That immediately adjacent, there are probably about 20 spaces, but it very quickly bleeds into the parking pool in front of Jewel,
Right.
Which, especially with the one-way aisles for Jewel, it can be kind of competitive from the grocery store. So I would say it's probably a somewhat similar situation where they regularly share a larger pool of parking with a bunch of other businesses that are operating at different times.
And this Denny's here that we're voting on tonight has either 30 or 31 parking spaces in front of the building, correct?
Yeah, and that's a rough estimate that there's about that number that are immediately up near the building that typically don't see maybe an occasional car or two here or there from other businesses. So they probably will have about 30 spaces that are almost always open for their use without being encroached upon by other businesses.
Now, some of the other spots that are counted on for these 63, I think, or 60-something spots are also spots that they share then with Stone Eagle?
Right. And just to step back a tiny bit, the Denny's technically will be a new building and a shopping center. Denny's will be a tenant in the building. There's obviously the vacant Sports Authority with a large pool of parking in front of it. There's a strip center building with the Chipotle restaurant in it that also has a large pool. And Stone Eagle was subdivided as a separate parcel. There are 12 spaces on the Stone Eagle property that they own. All the rest of the 399, 98, however many spaces, almost 400 spaces are owned in common by the shopping center. So Denny's, and they're not really formally designated for any one business or the other. So the 400 spaces technically are there to be shared with all the businesses.
Okay.
So I do know the petitioner was planning to have their parking consultant here, and they did do a parking study if that was necessary for them to speak. They should be here this evening.
Okay, Corporation Counsel, can you explain, this can be a confusing situation, particularly for people watching in the audience. The appropriate motion should be to sustain the or positive motion to sustain the finding of the Plan Commission. Doesn't mean when you come to vote on it, you actually vote on it. Is that correct?
Well, the motion would be whatever the motion is that's made. But right now, there's a recommendation that came before the board that it did not gain the approval of the zoning commission. The appropriate motion would be to approve this matter, even though it did not come.
We've never done it that way.
No, we've always done it the other way.
If I could, the way that it's traditionally been done, at least in Hoffman Estates, is that whatever the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation is, the motion maker makes a motion to approve that recommendation. So since this was a denial, it'd be a motion to approve the denial. So
Okay,
if you
you could do
want it
it
to
either
fail,
way.
if you want it to,
Well, what is the first motion?
the motion was to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation to deny.
Then that's before the board, and if you do not want Denny's to go forward, you would vote aye.
Right.
And if you would want Denny's to go forward, you would vote no. However, there would have to be a follow-up motion.
Correct.
Denny's is here to talk, or somebody is. There's a
Denny's, come up and talk.
computer here.
Let's have the computer here. That's good. Identify yourself for the record, ma'am.
Yes, I have a PowerPoint if you would. Sure. Okay, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity for us to present the proposed Denny's at the Prairie Stone Shopping Center.
Can we have your
Microphone,
name,
please.
please?
Address.
I'm Julie Zamudio, and I'm with Pine Tree Commercial Realty as the applicant and also as the agent for the owner, which is WPT Prairie Stone Number 7 LLC. And tonight, I have Vice President of Leasing, Michael Gold, here with us, and I also have the President and CEO of Classic Dining, who will be the owners of Denny's, that could speak on their behalf also. And then I also have our traffic consultant here to answer any questions. So if you have questions for any of those, I would like to bring up them as they need to. Just as an overview of the property, is the PowerPoint up? Okay, thank you. How do I advance this? This is the aerial of the existing conditions today. And the lot that's at the, right underneath where it says Stone is the vacant lot that is where the proposed Denny's is going to be. The shared parking, there's nearly 400, I think it's 397 spaces, that covers the whole shopping centers, that there is a cross-access easement, that all parties have non-exclusive parking and can park throughout the whole the whole shopping center. The owners, WPT Prairie Stone LLC, bought the property in August of 2014 out of bankruptcy. And so since then, we have been able to lease up the small shops that are the ones that are closest to the Route 59 with the tenants of Jersey Mike's, Mattress Firms, Light RX, and T-Mobile, filling up the outlet building that was mainly vacant when we purchased it. The original development that came through the board in 2005 had anticipated this lot to be a full-service sit-down restaurant with the parking and the parking at that time was approved for the configuration that we have today. Since then, we have decided to enter into a lease with Denny's, which was earlier this year, and that is the reason why we're here to obtain site plan approval today. That's all that we are looking for is site plan approval. There is no special use, there is no exceptions, no variances or anything, just site plan approval is required. Denny's is a family-friendly restaurant. It will serve the neighbors and the community at large. It is a complementary use to the shopping center because of the peak hours. That is the one main thing that our traffic study did take into account, is the peak hours. The breakfast and lunch are their peak hours, are different than Stone Eagles, which is lunch, and dinner is their main one. So we had traffic counts taken at the center, and then they also did traffic counts at existing Denny's. So when they go through and look at it, they've looked at the peak parking requirements. The other reason why we like to have a full-service breakfast is a void in the market, that there is nothing in this quadrant to help with a full-service breakfast, to have breakfast meetings from everybody that's in the Prairie Stone, or in the Hoffman Estates area there, that have all those businesses. It also helps drive customers to the early hours, which are the slowest hours in the shopping center. So we feel that this is a very complimentary business to have in the park. Denny's will employ about 50 employees. Their annual sales will be about $2 million, which would be a total sales tax revenue of about $240,000. The proposed Denny's, let me go to the next one, is their new prototype. So if this is the south and west elevations on this slide here, and you'll see that it is not your typical Denny's diner. It is an improved, sleeker, modern, and more efficient building. We have worked with staff to get to the point where they are happy with the amount of stone, and the elevations have been, we have satisfied staff on all these elevations. At the request of the staff, we did prepare the parking analysis. The parking analysis was conducted, as I said, at the center, and then also at an existing Denny's restaurants. And it clearly showed that the peak parking would not be in conflict with the other restaurants or other retailers in the shopping centers. If there was going to be an issue, neither the landlord nor Denny's would want to create a problem within their shopping center. And because that this was already pre-approved through the original development agreement, that is the reason why we didn't come through on a cursory review. It was basically just the elevations and the site plan, because all the parking is already in. We are not changing any parking, we're not changing any landscaping, we're not doing anything except within that square, which we're adding the sidewalks and the parking that's within that square. But the rest of the center, there is no changes to the shopping center.
Okay, any questions from the board? Trustee Mills.
During the discussion with planning and zoning, was there any talk, and I think I read it in here somewhere, how many, you said there are approximately 50 employees would be coming in, how many per shift?
I think it's 10 to 15, is that what we have? Yeah, 10 to 15 per shift. And there is a requirement of having your employees not park in the premium parking.
That's what I was going to get at, if that was going to be part, we can't require that as a condition, can we?
It's a difficult thing to regulate.
Yeah, be pretty much employee-driven and employer-driven.
Yes.
And hopefully that would be something, if this is approved, that would be enforced too.
Yes.
That would avoid some of the problems. And Denny's is here. If you could just come up and give us your...
Name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, Ken Kilberger, 2380 Espelande Drive, Algonquin, Illinois, 60102.
Okay, and what is your position, Denny's position on employee parking? Where would you be having them
Well,
park?
we're not going to have them park in the premium spots. We'd have them park over in the Sports Authority lot and have them walk over.
You would be enforcing that then
Yes.
too with them? Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Any questions from the audience? See nothing, we do have a motion, Madam Clerk? Again, the motion is to sustain the Plan Commission's report. Corporation Counsel?
I'm just going to...
Yeah, just to...
Bill?
Yes, that's fine. Let the Corporation Counsel talk first, then you can talk, okay?
I'll wait.
Okay, come on up, sir. Don't argue with the village attorney. It's, just identify yourself for the record, sir.
Patrick Turner, with offices at 33 North LaSalle, Chicago, Illinois. I represent AAV LLC and Mr. Vitale, who is the owner of the Stone Eagle restaurant that's located directly south of the proposed Denny's site. Forgive me, I thought that you were talking about questions for the Denny's representative. I just have...
That's fine. Ask away.
So I'd like to just point out a little history on this, and it was pointed out earlier that in 2007, a final, preliminary and final site plan was approved for the original development of this entire site. At that time, there was 402 parking spaces proposed, and there was a parking study that considered the planned uses at that time. And the planned uses at that time, the Stone Eagle was earmarked for retail. It was going to be anchored by a Starbucks and a couple other retail establishments. And the restaurant was earmarked for the Denny's site. So that's very important, and I'll get tie that in just a minute. But at the time that this preliminary and final site plan approval was brought before this board, a parking study was conducted. The study projected peak parking demands based on all of the uses of 386 spaces on weekdays and 388 spaces on Saturdays. Now, that was for a restaurant and a retail facing each other. Now, obviously, if we have restaurant facing each other, those numbers are going to change significantly. And again, one of the conditions that was read into the record and was part of the record was that parking associated with the proposal will need to be reviewed closely. And let me back up. This was always a vacant pad. So everything else was, there was the Sports Authority, there was the retail, and then there was the retail anchored by the Starbucks, and then it was always earmarked for restaurant use where the proposed Denny's was going to be. So parking was a critical matter back then. So fast forward now to 2012, when my client came before this board and got a special use for his drive-through and his site plan approved. And essentially what happened is the retail was flip-flopped, or it should have been flip-flopped. So the restaurant now was approved for the Stone Eagle. And really, and I think what should have happened is the proposed future site to the north should have been retail, not restaurant. And at that time, the parking demand drastically changed for the site. So now we fast forward to what is before this board today, and that is a proposed Denny's restaurant. And again, parking demands for the overall site have significantly changed. And as a matter of fact, we had reviewed some documentation that we were able to obtain through FOIA requests. And Mr. Donahue's letter in particular dated December 16th, 2016, I quote, "Parking demands for the overall site have changed since the original plan. The building south of the site, the Stone Eagle, was originally proposed as a retail building, so the parking demand wasn't as great as it is for the restaurant." There's another letter in the file that we were able to obtain through our FOIA request. This is a Donahue letter of March 3rd, 2017. And I quote, "Our policy has always been open to site-specific data to support parking supplies either lower or higher than estimated using the village guidelines." There was another quote in Mr. Donahue's letter of March 3rd, 2017 that said, "How do parking demands in January compare to peak and average months of the year?" And that is a good dovetail into the parking study that was prepared by KLOA in support of the proposed Denny's site. The KLOA report dated April 6, 2017, indicates that there's 155 seats in the proposed Denny's, that there were 500 customers per day and approximately 25 employees, but I think per shift, there were 10 to 15 per shift. That would mean 125 customers during peak hour of trip generations. And then KLOA goes through this whole analysis, but I want to point out a critical, what we believe to be a failure in the KLOA report, and that is the traffic surveys were done on January 13th and January 14th of 2017. Now, I don't know about you, but this is the time of year for me, or after the holidays, where there's not a lot going on, and then with these dates in particular, these are freezing cold days. So their traffic survey was conducted on 2 days in January, on a Friday and Saturday, that are not a good representation at all of the true parking demand. Some of the highlights from the KLOA report, where they do conclude that the peak for the Denny's would be during the lunch hour. But however, they have 25% of demand during the breakfast time, and that's, generally in the morning, which equates to 125 patrons using the 500 per day, and then just doing the math, 500 multiplied by the 25% of breakfast would mean 125 patrons during breakfast. Lunch, which is a little odd to me. I thought Denny's was more of a breakfast spot, but lunch is their peak demand time. And lunch, it was concluded during the weekday, 33%, which would mean 165 patrons during the lunch hour on the weekdays, and 41% on the weekends, which would equate to 205 on the weekends for lunch. Dinner, it turned out, for Denny's is still pretty heavy. That's 24% during the dinner time during the weekday, and 18% on the weekends. So, again, what we're looking at is a flawed report. It's skewing the numbers. We've got 2 days in January of 2017. As a matter of fact, my client has the official weather on the Friday the 13th. It was 16 degrees, and Saturday the 14th it was 21 degrees. Not a lot of people are out going to shopping or going to eat on those days. Another couple flaws that I would like to point out with the traffic study, because really, ladies and gentlemen, that's what this is all about. It's a traffic concern, a grave traffic concern for the Stone Eagle. The Stone Eagle has been in existence. They have a very loyal clientele. There are, no one has ever done a traffic study for the Stone Eagle's demand, and that's really a big problem that I think that everyone should recognize. And of course, we've got this overall parking, and everyone shares the parking. But what we have is, if you're talking about spillover going over to the Sports Authority site to the east, we've got a major drive aisle coming in. That is the major drive aisle coming in for all patrons of the entire center. So if we're going to have patrons parking over there, they're going to have to cross over a major two-way drive aisle. There's no pedestrian crossways. This is a safety issue. It's a danger issue. So, in other words, if spillover happens to go to the east into the Sports Authority, patrons are going to have to walk across this drive aisle. At all times, people racing through in and out of this entire development. Another thing I'd like to point out is in the village board's packet, there's an aerial. I can't pinpoint the actual page number, but there's an aerial that shows almost the entire prime parking space between the Stone Eagle and the proposed Danny's are all used. All the parking spaces are used, and that's obviously during Stone Eagle's operation. I do have a packet of 8 by 10 photos I'd be happy to share with the board, if you would indulge me.
I can pass them down. They can- They're all different, okay? This is what we have in our packet also.
Yes, so this is
Okay. I'll take out one. I didn't take one out.
No, it's a whole packet.
Oh, it's a full packet.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, again, what we have is, we've got a study that's flawed. We have nothing showing the impact on the Stone Eagle. At the very least, I believe my client is entitled to present his own traffic study before this board, so that you can get a true picture of what's going on out there. Because this is going to be parking, a fight for the prime parking spaces. And there was a lot of discussion before the Planning and Zoning Commission about, people come into a site and they want to go into a restaurant and have a bite to eat, and if they can't find parking, they're going to drive right out. There's a serious concern that we have.
Do you have anything else, sir?
Yes, and in closing, the Plan Commission heard a lot of testimony, and the Plan Commission made a wise decision in denying the request. So I believe that a lot of deference should be given to your Plan Commission, and I'm respectfully requesting that the application be denied, or that the Plan Commission's ruling be upheld.
Thank you. Corporation Counsel, you had a comment you wanted to make?
Yeah, just a reminder, based on the motion that's before the body, a yes vote would be against the Denny development, and a no vote would be in favor of the Denny development.
Trustee Newell.
I just have one question. If the motion failed on F, okay, then do you still go on and do a master sign plan? even
Well,
if
what
it
happened,
fails?
the motion is to sustain the Plan Commission report. If that motion is voted down, it'd be appropriate to have a motion to approve the Denny's, would be the appropriate thing. We wouldn't do the sign plan unless,
Unless that one,
That's
right,
approved,
okay, I'm
so.
just asking because it was listed. I'm sorry.
do you have anything else, gentlemen? Mr. Vitale?
Just a quick comment. I think Pat's covered most of it, but this is not about competition. I've been in business 40 years. I'm not intimidated by a Denny's operation. I am intimidated by the amount of traffic and parking that will be 150 feet from my front door. I go back to when it was planned as a retail and restaurant, and I took the retail, made it a restaurant. So I was granted the privileges of what the restaurant was entitled to. When I came to the center, it was in foreclosure. I was the one that took the risk. I did what I said I was going to do. I haven't been in trouble with any issues with the liquor license, any issues with the police there. It's been a good, solid operation, older guest crowd, over 50. I think it's been an admirable operation. I've done what I said I would do, so I've lived up to my obligation. I don't want to be anti-business, but I don't see allowing another business to my detriment come in when I've proven myself to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If they,
Microphone, please.
You have to speak into the microphone.
I would like to have my traffic consultant at least give his opinion of the traffic study.
Okay,
And-
can you keep it brief? We don't want to be here for the rest of our lives.
Thank you.
No problem, I'll be happy to. For the record, my name is Louie Abuna, I'm with KLOA. So I just want to clarify a couple of points that Mr. Turner raised. Yes, we did do the surveys in January. That was when we got the assignment. And we did a comprehensive parking survey of the center as it exists today. We did it on a Friday, we did it on a Saturday, started from the morning till nighttime. And yes, it was cold, but the numbers came back showing that people were patronizing the center. There was activity throughout the day and even in the evening and nighttime, where there were excess of 90 parking spaces occupied at 9 p.m. on a Saturday. And I would assume that most of these people were at the restaurant. So yes, it was cold, but people were still at the restaurant and patronizing the business. However, the way we did our analysis, we tried to be as conservative as we can because we always want to be erring on the high side. So for Denny's, while we went out and surveyed an existing Denny's in Arlington Heights, because it was comparable in size and number of seats, we still relied on the village code to determine the demand of the restaurant, which is far, far more than what we found at the existing Denny's, 4 to 5 times more. So we used those numbers instead of the existing Denny's numbers. We also generated the parking demand for the vacant retail, and again, we used the village code, which is very conservative. It projects numbers for a month of December during Christmas season. So again, that is conservative. And we also then looked at the demand for the restaurant for the Stone Eagle. And not only we relied on what we surveyed, we also then we said, okay, if those numbers were lower, let's use the village code and apply that for the Stone Eagle restaurant. So we not only relied on the data that we gathered, but we also went to the village code, which was more strict and yielded more parking projections. And we took all of those and superimposed them on top of each other and applied the shared parking concept because, again, you got retail, you have Denny's that peaks in the morning and lunchtime, you got Stone Eagle that peaks at night. So these work really well together. They complement each other. And what we found when we superimposed all these numbers on top of each other, that there is going to be adequate parking, that the peak demand will be at 89%. And it's actually going to occur during lunchtime. It's not occurring during the evening when Stone Eagle would peak. So the peak demand based on our analysis is during lunchtime, not dinner time. So we believe our numbers are adequate, and we believe our analysis are conservative and addresses the parking concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Mills.
Staff's looked over these reports, and you feel comfortable with your analysis?
Mr. Gugliotta, are you comfortable?
Yes, we are. Our transportation division, there were at least a couple iterations of the traffic report. They worked very hard on this, knowing that there were concerns. So yes, they're very much in agreement with the conclusion of the report.
And in fact, when we talked about the concerns being raised, we compared it to the north end of the center where you have Rookies and you had Rev Robin, you have other restaurants. And contrary, with all due respect to the attorney representing Mr. Vitale, but you regularly have people parking on the other side of the drive aisle in what people might consider Target slot, but it wasn't built that way to be Target slot, and they routinely cross over into these areas to get to the restaurants.
In the future, I wish you'd raise your hand and be recognized rather than just barging in, Mr. Norris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Chairperson Combs, you have anything else you want to add? Anybody else on the board? We do have a motion and a second. Can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Nay.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Nay.
Trustee Mills?
Nay.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Nay.
Mayor McLeod?
So I see it's 4 noes, 3 ayes.
Correct.
That's correct.
So now appropriate motion would be to approve the Denny's request, Mr. Corporation Counsel?
That could be a motion that could be made.
Or some other motion.
This is the motion for the master sign plan?
No.
No, this was the planning commission report was turned down. It was voted down.
Correct.
Yes. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the plan.
I'll second.
There's a motion, a second for approval of the Denny's with all the conditions?
Yes.
Everything exactly as
Yes.
portrayed? Okay, any questions? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
No.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
No. Motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by WPT Prairie Stone 7 owner and Pine Tree commercial applicant to consider a master sign plan amendment for a Denny's restaurant to be located at 4690 Hoffman Boulevard in the Poplar Prairie Stone Crossing Shopping Center, 5 ayes, 2 nays, 4 absent.
Chair would accept a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Any questions on this? See no questions, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
No.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
No. Motion carried. Still got the floor, Chairperson Combs.
I know, but I'm going to finish before 11.
I hope so.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by Anidje Hotel Corp. DBA Country Inn and Suites owner and a site plan amendment for a facade and site changes and special use under section 9-8-2-C-4 of the zoning code to permit a hotel to operate on the property located at 2280 North Barrington Road with 11 conditions, 7 A's, 4 nays, 4 absent, I'm sorry.
Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions on this? This is the pre-existing establishment, Madam Chairperson?
Yes, it is. They are changing
La Quinta.
the hotel brand.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes, Trustee Stanton.
Are they open for business right now, or are they closed?
No, they're opened, and they've restricted the area in the construction zone, so nobody can access that.
Okay, and are they operating under this Country Inn at this point, or not yet?
I don't know.
Mr. Gugliotta, they're operating as Hoffman Estates, something?
They're,
wrong?
yeah,
Was the thing I
they're
heard?
currently just operating as Hoffman Inn and Suites. They can't obtain the Country Inn name tag from the hotel chain until after this approval, and they actually complete the work to upgrade the facility. Then they'll get the permission from that chain to carry their name. So they're right now kind of operating as an independent.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? See nothing else, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye. Motion carried. We have one item on here, on 8 is going to be amended, so we might as well do these things separately. 8A, request board approval of an ordinance approving a certain annexation agreement and authorizing execution thereof, 145-acre parcel, Plum Farms. This item was deferred from the 17th.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? See nothing, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. 8B, request board approval of an ordinance annexing certain property to the Village of Hoffman Estates, a 145-acre parcel, Plum Farms. Again, this item was deferred from the 17th of April this year.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this? Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. 8C, request board approval of an ordinance amending sections 9-1-2 and 9-5-13 of the Hoffman Estates Municipal Code to provide for the TN District Traditional Neighborhood District. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions on this?
Is this the one you need to?
No, it's D.
Is it D? Okay.
D. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. D, request board approval of an ordinance rezoning certain property in the Village of Hoffman Estates from unincorporated to TN traditional. Mr. Corporation Counsel, there was a change in the one we have in our packet.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. What was in the packet, there have been a few very minor changes in that. However, at this time, I'm going to read what the new proposed ordinance is going to, the wording of the new proposed ordinance, so everybody understands exactly what is being voted on. So the new item D would read, an ordinance from the Village of Hoffman Estates, an ordinance rezoning certain property in the Village of Hoffman Estates from unincorporated to TN traditional neighborhood, parentheses, Plum Farms, close parentheses. Whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Village of Hoffman Estates, at a public hearing duly called and held according to the law on April 5th, 2017, considered the question of rezoning the property legally described on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof from unincorporated to TN Traditional Neighborhood District, and whereas the Plan and Zoning Commission made certain findings of fact attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit B, and recommended approval of said rezoning to the Board of Trustees. Now therefore be it ordained by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Hoffman Estates, Cook and Kane Counties, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that the zoning map of the Village of Hoffman Estates is amended to date hereof, be further amended by classifying the real estate herein described on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein to TN Traditional Neighborhood District. Section 2, that said real estate as classified shall be subject to all the limitations and conditions placed upon the property within the TN classification as defined in the Hoffman Estates Municipal Code. Section 3, that the village clerk be and is hereby directed to amend the official zoning map of the village so that the zoning classifications provided herein are reflected on said map. Section 4, that the village clerk is hereby authorized to publish this ordinance in pamphlet form. Section 5, that this ordinance shall be in effect, that the ordinance shall be in force and effect immediately from and after its passage and approval, past this first day of May 2017.
And everybody did receive a copy of this change in the ordinance. Chair would accept a motion for approval of D as amended.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion to second. Any questions on this? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried, and that again was deferred from April 17th, 2017. 8E, request board approval of request by 5A7 LLC. On behalf of Golden Goose Enterprises LLC, Plum Farms OSR 72, and Rabina Realty Corporation for a preliminary and final plat of subdivision for the 186.34 acre final plat of Plum Farms subdivision located at the northwest corner of Higgins Road, Illinois Route 72, and Sutton Road, Illinois 59. Again, this item was deferred from April 17th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. 8F, request board approval of an ordinance amending various subsections of Section 9-8-3 C-MU Commercial Mixed-Use District of the Hoffman Estates Municipal Code. Again, this item was sent over from the April 17th meeting to this meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second. Any questions? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. 8G, request board approval of an ordinance approving a certain development agreement and authorizing execution thereof for 24-acre parcel Plum Farms. Again, this came from the April 17th meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second. Any questions? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, and last but not least, 8H, request board approval of an ordinance approving a certain development agreement and authorizing execution thereof the 16-acre parcel Plum Farms. Again, this was sent forward from the April 17th meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. Chair would accept a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll
moved.
second.
This motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. We are adjourned.